Yo, what's up? It's Jeremiah Crude. I'm an ESTP, and I'm Isaiah's twin. You've never seen me around the channel before, but, I'm making my first appearance today, because I'm gonna shit all over Isaiah's book, right here on the channel. Never seen before. Jeremiah's in the house, and I got a few beers in me. So, we're gonna look here. No, fuck, no. Almost dropped the bone. Alright. First chapter here. Sam and Shelly sitting in a tree. You writing some sort of fucking romance? I ain't into that gay shit, bro. Section 1. He didn't like ukulele, but the sweet twangs coming in from her family's home danced bouncy melodies in Sam's oversized head. He bobbed it involuntarily when Shelly walked out into the atrium to join him there. He was sitting and pondering the stars, so handsome and young still. She had a few years on him, but she knew that would surely soon change. She thought about how fast her brother came into the fatherly position in the family almost as soon as the father had died. The day after that, the previously happy and upbeat baby boy was wordlessly mowing the lawn with a scowl marked in red Sharpie across his face. From that point on, Bernie was logical. He was practical, rather. He had always corrected her on that point. She realized then that Samuel was still watching her, inviting an invitation. He was so polite, she thought, she couldn't wait for him to grow a beard. Rather, she could. This boyish version of him was sweet in a way that most men these days can't be, she thought, as she approached him and simply took him in her own arms. They were silent, happy, having made love so much their genitals soared. This they both bragged about to their peers, and this they mutually accepted without needing to say aloud. Being young was like this, and both of them were certainly wise to enjoy it. She held a Bible in her back pocket with a scarred left hand. So, he made a face, indicating nothing but approval. Pretty cool. What's pretty cool? The guitar. I could hear it from the atrium. She simply giggled and took his hand. You're so dumb, Sammy's a dummy baby boy. He was tickling her at this point. They were truly disgusting, in different ways, surely. Sam was disgusting not because of his ways. He was a solemn boy, loved by all, but made out into a fool by his teachers and classmates in school, even by his family. Poor Samuel had outer interests. He loved engineering. I don't know where this German accent is coming from, and I really cannot keep this up through the entire thing, so I'm just going to talk my normal voice now. Sam was disgusting, not because of his ways. He was a solemn boy, loved by all, but made out into a fool by his teachers and classmates in school, even by his family. Poor Samuel had outer interests. He loved engineering, car mechanics, simple everyday things, such as how to change your oil. He was already practical, and yet he was a boy. This both excited and scared Shelly. He was oddly beautiful, despite the dirt, scuffed shoes, and the unkempt fashion sense. Shelly was disgusting, not because of her vocations. She had been blessed with the charm of good looks to pursue her simple interest of babysitting and modeling, but was horribly underestimated in her intellect and her wit. She couldn't stand this, not one bit. The clever girl went about life knowing, silently and in pain. She took poor Samuel into her, pity turned into real love. All of these thoughts flashed to her before he had retreated his hand to silently brood some more about the coming days. Neither said a word, but she knew that a certain thing was off. The last time he hid his expression like this, his stepfather went into court being charged with manslaughter. He knew his luck, she thought, and he must surely know that if he is too happy or too masculine like he wants to be, he will be punished somehow. Maybe he doesn't know it, but he thinks it surely. She adjusted her glasses, placed upon her large nose bridge, and sniffled to keep in the boogers. He thought about planes and engines with a pleasant mistress by his side. It whistled by, roaring the clouds away. He was so excited, he wanted to jump up and around. But he couldn't do this now. No, everyone was here, and he was tired and unwoke at this hour. His tongue started to move about in his mouth, but he kept it closed. His fingers gesticulated, inviting his hands to join, but the unrest had put her at an unease. So he retracted himself. The plane passed by, and he sighed. He intoned it as if he were serene and content. She leaned up against his chest, placing her hand up where his right nipple was. This startled him, but certainly not in an unpleasant way. They made love that night, traveled down to the creek, and found some mushrooms. 30 minutes later, a day before Samuel's first day at trade school and the young couple's last day together for the coming 6 years or so, they wandered in front of a truck in the pitch black of night. Old Piper Sr. hadn't worn his contacts and was on his begrudging way to see his dying mother. Samuel Silver and Shelly Ann Johnson were found dead the following morning, legs and limbs tangled together. Their faces touched, and their hands looked as if they were in prayer. Samuel secretly bore a Muslim faith, but hid it away in a Christian facade. Shelly was ready to greet Jesus in her newly eternal wedlock. That was Section 1. I'm not done with Section 2 yet. But I'm going to read out the first sentence of Section 2, and then striptease out the rest. She didn't like buffets, but the church bells ringing soundly in her ears put a little smirk on her face. So, is Shelly correct about the afterlife, then? I guess that's where we're at. It's kind of stupid. It began kind of stupid. Not gonna lie. I didn't even technically begin here. I began somewhere totally different. Just a random mundane scene, and then I made all this BS up like along the way. So you never know where you start technically. You know what I mean? I just start at the most gross point in the entire story, and that works for me. I might not always do that, but I really enjoy doing that. It gives me a sort of map of the entire territory of the novel. If I start with one character and one thing that they do when they're alone, that's kind of gross. In this book, it didn't start with this young couple here. It started with Harvey, a different older man who, when he's alone, smokes, and it says that he pushes his brain up against the air vents in his forehead like this to think, and he ventilates it with the smoke of the Winston cigarettes that he inherited from his father as a trait. He perceives that anyway. So, that's where I'm at so far. I've got a lot of random chapters starting to be written. I've got about 1,500 words in this whole thing, including Section 2. But I'm not going to share too much. Can't do that. If I share too much, then it simply will just fall apart in my head. I won't be able to... I'll just pressure myself too much. You know what I mean? So I'm going to keep it at this for now. But that was quite a lot. I read at least 1,000 words-ish of the story, and then a lot of rambling about the story afterwards and beforehand, so... Oh yeah, and I'm Isaiah Rude at the end here. I transitioned into Isaiah Rude. So, that's the end.